Okay. وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيِّرًا أَبَابِيلَ. And He sent against them birds. That's I'm again literal translation right now. He sent against them birds, ababil, herds upon herds upon herds. Now, just a historical comment describing the birds. When Abdul Muttalib turns back, فَالْتَفَتَ, he turned away, وَهُوَ يَدْعُو, and he was making dua to Allah. فَإِذَا هُوَ بِطَيْرٍ, then all of a sudden he sees birds. مِن نَحْوِ الْيَمَنِ, coming from the direction of Yemen, which is interesting because the army also came from Yemen, right? Wallahi, he says. فَقَالْ, he says, I swear by Allah, إِنَّهَا لَطَيْرٌ غَرِيبَةٌ. It is very strange kinds of birds for sure. مَا هِيَ بِنَجْدِيَّةٍ وَلَا تَهَامِيَّةٍ. They're not from Najd and they're not from Tahama. كَانَ مَعَ كُلِّ طَائِرٍ حِجْرٌ فِي مِنْقَارِهِ وَحِجْرَانٌ فِي رِجْلَيْهِ. And in every single bird there would be a pebble in its beak and two pebbles in each of its claws, in its feet. Okay, so that's his description of it. قال أبو عبيدة أبابيل. Abu Ubaidah describing the word ababil says, جماعات في تفرقة, multiple groups of different kinds. In other words, it wasn't one species of bird, there were many different species of birds. قال النحاس, a great grammarian of our history, wrote إعراب القرآن, وحقيقته أنها جماعات عظام. And the reality is that these are huge groups, huge, awesome flocks of birds, not one, but many different flocks of birds. I haven't seen too many birds in Texas, but if you travel between like New York and Maryland, sometimes birds are migrating, especially in the area of Delaware, a lot of birds, right? So you'll see for a good half hour, just a flock of tens of hundreds of thousands of birds, a continuous stream. And according to other historical narrations, they were coming from every direction, and you couldn't see the sky, it became dark. SubhanAllah. It's an incredible scene to even imagine. Okay. The first thing to note here is Allah Azza wa Jal sent upon them, which what we learned in the previous ayah, He sent birds upon them. In another surah, in Surah Al-Ahzab, to defend the believers in the battle of Al-Ahzab, Allah sent wind against disbelievers. So Allah said, فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ رِيحًا وَجُنُودًا لَمْ تَرَوْهَا. We sent against them winds and armies you couldn't even see. So there are armies of angels, birds in this case, wind. So Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُوَ. No one knows the armies of your master except He. No one knows the armies of Allah except He Himself. So Allah Azza wa Jal uses whatever He chooses to become His army. It can be wind, it can be angels, it can be birds in this case. Subhanallah. There are interesting vocabulary inside this ayah. The first word, tarmihim, is the present form of the word rama. Now, this is a past tense incident. This is something that happened in the past. But tarmi is being used. The present tense is being used. When the mudari' form is used to refer to something in the past tense, the purpose of that is to mention that something happened over and over again. In other words, they didn't just throw it once, they kept throwing. The pebbles, they kept coming down and kept coming down. So if the word ramat was used, ramathum bihijaratin min sijil, it would just mean once, and that's it, they fell. But it seemed like it just keeps on coming like rain, and that is captured in the word tarmihim in the present form. Then the word rama yarmi, the origin of the word, doesn't just mean to throw or to pelt. The first meaning of it is to throw something from a distance. So by using that word, one of the things we're learning is that the birds were at a very tall height where they were dropping it from. And you guys know now, the higher something is and you drop it, the harder it falls. Acceleration due to gravity. So these little pebbles are hitting like bullets by the time they're getting down to the ground. The other thing is, Rama includes, or this Rami in Arabic includes something that is thrown, not just thrown, but thrown with a specific target that you're aiming for. And by using this word, Allah Azza wa Jalla is teaching us every single pebble, it's like Allah Azza wa Jalla targeted every single criminal that it's supposed to hit and where it's supposed to hit them. So it's these guided missiles that Allah Azza wa Jalla was sending with the word tarmihim, that He sent against them. Then in regards to how these pebbles hit, إِنَّ الْحَجَرَ كَانَ يَدْخُلُ مِنْ رَأْسِ أَحَدِهِمْ وَيَخْرُجُ مِنْ أَسْفَلِهِ. That the pebbles, they would enter into the skulls. And this is important because the skull is the hardest bone. It's the toughest bone to break. Right? And the only way you can bash somebody's skull really is like a bullet or something, right? It's something really hard hits it. But the pebbles would go into their skull and come out from behind them. It would go through them. And that's what the eyewitness accounts are describing. Now we come to the final ayah. By the way, you notice already the language is very, very graphic. It's full of very strong, sharp, not very pleasant imagery. Right? Allah didn't just say He destroyed them, He is giving us really explicit details of how He destroyed them. You know why that's important? Because of the word kayfa in the beginning of the surah. Allah didn't just say what He did with them, how He did with them. And when you ask the question how, the answer comes with details. When you say what did you do, you could just say I ate lunch. When you say how did you do it, then you're describing details, you're giving details, you understand? So the graphic language in the surah is perfectly situated because of the word kaifa instead of the word mada. What did your master do? No, how did your master deal with them? How did he destroy them? So the answer is coming in this surah. Then we find these two words.